AC just go out and you're super hot. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you guys a couple tips you guys can use to get your AC up and running. And if you do have a tech coming to work on your AC unit and they're telling you need a new one, I'm going to give you guys some tips that you can tell if you're just being scammed or if you do actually have something wrong with your unit. No experience needed. So the reason I'm making this video is this AC was just installed maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And the AC tech I had come over, well, AC company, they came over, they took a look at it. There's nothing wrong with my unit. Like, it was working, but it would get shut off quickly because of the float switch. And that was because the drain line was clogged. I'll show you how to unclog that yourself. It's really easy. You don't need an AC tech for that. But basically the tech came over and he was like, yeah, your unit doesn't work. Everything was working before, but the thing actually stopped working. And I was like, well, that's ironic. I mean, the fan motor, everything was blowing, everything was fine. The only problem I was having was that the drain line was getting clogged. So simply what it was doing was it was kicking off the unit. So this fan would blow out here, but inside it wouldn't blow the air. But after the dude got here, this ironically stopped working. What the guy simply did was he came over here to the power box. You see this little breaker thing right here? He pulled this thing out. There's nothing wrong with like pulling it out. That's completely fine. It shuts the power, but he tried to act like, oh snap, yeah, your unit's busted. And he said you need a brand new one. All he did was disconnect the power supply so the thing wasn't working. And I've had other AC techs do some even more shiesty things, like involved in this, basically just trip the relay switch. But if you have a problem with your AC, here are a couple of steps you guys can use to troubleshoot it. The first one, obviously the drain line. The AC unit isn't on right now, but you see how this is giving like a drip, drip. This is good. This means the thing is perfectly running. But you see this white stuff here? This is like a tissue paper or toilet paper, whatever. That's what it looks like. It just happens over time. Like the water coagulates with like bacteria. I don't even know what it is exactly, but like soupy stuff comes out of this. And there's a quick way to unclog your drain. And simply the symptom of that your drain is potentially clogged is that either this will kick off or the unit upstairs or even both of them. Your float switch is being tripped. Basically what happens as the AC needs to cool, it does that by sweating out this water. This water has to run somewhere. If those pipes are clogged, then you need to get those unclogged. And this is the hose trick. I do this all the time, anytime the drain line is clogged. And I would recommend doing this like monthly or every other month, especially pouring bleach down there. But this section right here, let me get on a better area so you guys can see what's up. But you're basically going to come right here and connect the hose to the bottom of this. And it's about, I don't know, 50 feet away from the unit. So I'm just going to run water up this for about 6 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe a second every 10 feet. And then you get this flood of water come out. You can see all this paper stuff come out. This stuff, that's what clogs your drain. You can see all the, wow, I definitely needed to do that. You see all this junk coming out? I don't know if you can see that, but it is gnarly. Like all this literally just came out. So let's go ahead and do this again so I can show you guys what's up. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on here. Kind of gets everywhere. Oh geez, no. So let's try this again. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're gonna see all this water flood out and you start to see all this paper and this junk come up. Look at that, that was nasty. But yeah, all that stuff comes out of your AC unit. You gotta clean that out, because if not, your thing is gonna get all clogged up and it's not going to be good. So we're gonna do this a couple more times. I usually recommend doing this like 3 or 4 times. You don't wanna overshoot these seconds. So like if you do like 20 seconds, it's gonna flood the upstairs, because the pipes are not that long. But you can see here the water, it's kind of clear, etc. I probably still need to continue doing this because it's kind of nasty. But the point is like you got to clean that out. That's like that's gonna clog your drain. And when you get your drain clogged, the AC is not going to work properly, and you'd hate for that to happen. So that's the very first thing. always check that. Don't call the AC tech. Check the drain line, make sure it's sweating properly. If you see it sweating like you saw earlier, maybe like a minute ago, it was slowly doing that drip, that's a good sign. But if it's not dripping off, that means your drain line is clogged and your hose is going to be your very first step. Or obviously the second step, if your AC is not keeping up at all, like if it's having trouble cooling, then your next step is going to change the AC filter. AC filter is not inside, but all you simply do is you just swap that out. That's self-explanatory. The arrow always goes towards the airflow. So if you feel that thing sucking this way, like this, like just pulling, it usually pulls towards the ceiling or towards the wall, then that means the arrow needs to point inside to the wall. And you just swap those out like, I don't know, every 2 months, every month, just depending on the type of quality. The next step you can do is simply the hard reset. So what's going, like my system, this one's fine, it's 77 and it's set on 80. Basically how you would do a hard reset if your AC just isn't kicking over or anything, you would turn this up. You see how it's set on 77 and 80? This is great, awesome. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the system to off and literally just shut it off and let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, just kind of let it reset itself. And then I would go ahead and set the system to cool. And then I would go 1 degree below, and then I would wait for it to kick. You heard it click. I hear this. And then I hear the unit outside also kicking over. So that's a good sign. Now the next sign to check is if it's cold air. So I'm fine with that, that's great. So there's nothing wrong with this unit. I was just explaining if something was wrong. If there was something wrong, it wouldn't kick over, but this one kicks on and off. So it's fine. Also another step is simply just check the thermostat. If this thermostat isn't kicking over, it says replace batteries, just simply replace your batteries and then your thing is gangbusters. But going back to the AC unit itself or the thermostat for the hard reset, if this hard reset doesn't work, turning it 2 degrees above where it's currently at, so in this case 77, turn it on 79, shut it off, turn it back on, it should be, the cool setting should be above what it's set on the inside. So if this reads 80 degrees and when I turn it on this says 79, I need to start the hard reset over because I haven't turned it down or turned it up enough to where I can turn it down and go 1 degree below to get the unit to make that click. So if this doesn't work, your last step is to try the breaker. So look for your AC breaker. Breaker box, it's simply going to be the one that's labeled AC, and obviously it's this one. It's most of the time, like actually all the time, it's going to be on one of these double breakers. The single ones are too small. It typically has to have like a 50 amp plus. So once you have them on this breaker, you're just going to shut that off and let it sit for like 10 minutes, let the system reset and turn it back on. These things are like computers. When you turn them off and turn them back on, somehow they just work better. Next thing to check is your capacitor, which is, mine's right there. Mine's functioning properly, so I'm not going to go ahead and pull this out. I'll just show you guys a blank capacitor, what the bad ones look like. But basically it'll be like a soda can, and it'll have like a dent under it, or it'll look like it's popped. It'll even show like on the top. But you can see here that the can is kind of flush. It looks like a soda can. I'll show it to you. Here's what one of these capacitors will look like. This is a good one. You can see how it's flat here and it's flat on the bottom of this can. Oh, you can't see it. The bottom of this can, you can kind of see where my finger is touching. This is a good capacitor. I live on a well, so I need to have one of these just on demand. Like if my well pump goes out, I'm just going to replace the capacitor. I also have some relay switches as well, but simply those wires, they go around the prongs of the top of this. Make sure you don't touch that with like one finger. All of those, because when those touch, that completes the circuit and you'll basically zap yourself. So you definitely don't want to do that. But you can see here, this gives you like some of the schematics on it, like a 55 plus 5 MFD. This kind of explains like the different ratings. The capacitor you have on your AC unit, all of them are different. Typically, if you don't know what you're doing and don't know what size to get for the capacitor, make sure you call an AC tech for that. Because if you get the wrong size, you can blow the capacitor, you can blow the relay board. This is just something you can tell if it's a capacitor or not. And if the AC tech gets over there and is like, you need a new unit, and you see the capacitor that's just popped, it's like, get a second opinion. There is another fix. If your AC unit is just simply not keeping up and it's not cooling, and you don't think it's the Freon and you don't want to ask the guy to come out and fill out some Freon, you can check a couple of things. The first, before you call the AC tech, you can do this could save you some money, is you take the hose and you simply clean out these grates. So if you have a screwdriver or whatever, you can take these apart and open it up. And these fins inside here, those get dirty. Like, let me show you. You see those metal fins right there? Those get filled with dust, dirt. It's not focusing, nice. You can kind of see it. But those fins inside there, you can see them if you look at, oh, now you can see it. Those fins right there, those get filled with dust, dirt, debris, etc. And you can see there's all kinds of like dust, dirt, and debris at the bottom of this. Clean that out every once in a while. I would say do that every 6 months or so, especially in the hot Florida sun like this. Clean this thing out. Just take the hose and literally you're just gonna go like this. If you get inside the thing, and then you can even go on the outside and just spray it down. Just get the dust out of it. It's best to go from the inside out. That way you can get it and get it. You can see all the dirt coming out right now. Like all that dirt down there, this thing needs clean. See all the dirt flowing over there? That's all from inside this unit. This unit already needs clean. I just hadn't cleaned it in a long time. But whatever, the point is you gotta clean this thing out, especially if your AC unit is not keeping up. So I'll clean that. I guess it was a great time to make a video. I gotta clean mine big time. Next is simply you're using too big of AC filters, especially for Florida. Sometimes less is more. Like I know they have like the 6-month filters or like the 3-month super intense MERV 16, whatever. Just go with the cheap paper ones. Sometimes you simply just need to get that cheap paper one to allow airflow to get you through the summer. I mean, the summer's hot, you gotta do what you gotta do. So again, if it's not keeping up, 3 things to look for. The first, clean this out. Make sure this thing is nice and clean on the condensing coil on the outside. Second, check your AC filter. If that AC filter is dirty, you're gonna be roasted. Third, you simply may just be low on Freon and you'd have to ask the guy to come fill it up. He just unscrews these things and just fills it up with Freon. Sometimes you have a leak in it. You have to figure out, is it worth it to fix the leak or not? If it only has to fill up with Freon every 3 years, well, it's a math problem. If you got to replace the coil inside and it costs you $1,000 and a Freon fill up is $100, I mean, if you're filling it up every 3 years, it's a better option to do the Freon. Because the lifespan of these AC units, if you're taking great care of them, or if you're just taking good care of them, it's going to be like 15 to 20 years. If you're taking great care of them, on the other hand, maybe 25 years, unless you have the newer units. The newer units are just trash. Some of the best brands to get that I've heard from different techs are going to be like the Carrier, the Train, and those do have different sub-brands. So Carrier has the ICP brand. It also has the Arco Air. It has the Comfort Maker. There's a bunch of different brands that's under Carrier, but basically they have really good customer service. The parts are readily available if you need them, so they aren't like gonna price gouge you on them. And I mean, they last pretty long. They have good warranties, and there's a reason for that. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. These are a couple of troubleshooting tips you can use. That way you can either A, determine if you're being scammed by a AC technician, or B, you can just fix it yourself before the AC technician comes over. Again, we'll summarize it. Make sure this thing is cleaned out, change out your AC filters, check the thermostat batteries, check the capacitor to see if it's anything, check the breaker, do the hard reset with the breaker or even the thermostat, check your drain line, and of course, if none of that works, then it's probably best to call an AC tech then. If you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and in the comments below, tell me what you guys want to see more of, and I'll start making content on that so you guys can see a little bit of the ins and outs, how not to get scammed, and obviously how to rehab, repair, and rent and property manage a property. Thanks, guys.